ED.
Oh,
So a Super Bowl was won in the division.
yep, yep.
Might change the way things are done. Or could it, or should it change the way things are done? I don't know. We'll get into that. We'll see. This is the
Yeah.
Vision 49ers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. He is Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. I'm Rahshaun Haylock. Plenty to get to on this show. The Rams win Super Bowl 56 at home at SoFi Stadium. And, I mean, you can say they paid for it. You can say whatever you want to say. They went all in. But they got it done. How does that affect the Niners and the way they go about their business, or how should it affect the Niners and how they go about their business? We'll dive into all that. Also, another former teammate of ED's, Sam Mills, was announced as an inductee into the Hall of Fame. We'll get ED's thoughts on Sam Mills as well as maybe some others. We'll get your tweets as well out there. But first, we want to encourage you and remind you to continue to download, subscribe, rate, and review. We're located wherever you find your podcast. If there's a like or a follow button on your particular podcast subscription service, go ahead and hit that like or follow button. Feel free to get involved in the conversation on social media. I'm at Haylock. On Twitter, he is at _ Eric Davis _ and on Instagram, I'm at Watch Ray Ray. He is at Eric Davis _ That's 4 underscores, as in the number of wins it takes to win a Super Bowl if you don't have that first round bye. As always, we are presented by the fine folks at Bet Online. Look, football might be done, and look, we've all had our withdrawals here over the last couple of days, but Eric's favorite time of the year is coming, March Madness. You better believe it. Also, NBA playoffs right around the corner as well. We got a lot to get into. We would say spring training, but they're in the middle of a little bit of a tiff there in Major League Baseball, so we'll leave them out the mix. But you got hockey going on as well. Look, whatever you want, the fine folks at Bet Online have you covered, from all the latest odds, player performance props, to where the next fire coach is going to land. Bet Online, the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. So just head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to get started. Bet Online, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. Bet Online, where the game starts. He is Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. I'm Rahshaun Haylock. So, ED, we've seen this happen before, right? And we've seen this happen before.
Summer's taking over.
Summer is taking over. Summer is taking over. So we've seen this happen before in terms of teams that have tried to win a Super Bowl, and they try to go all in, right? And the Rams did that, right? And it paid off, right? They gambled and they won. And that looks like the new way of doing business here in the NFL. How does that affect the Niners?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how do you feel about that, because if you have the pieces out there, well, number one, okay, so I got a tweet and someone said just that. Like, is it better? Should you go after that player, those players? Should you go all in on those players, or should you build through the draft? And I said yes. And they were like, what do you mean? I said, well, first of all, you have to build through the draft to get good enough to be that player all in on away from winning a championship. So you have to do that right. Once you've done that, yeah, I think there's a lot to the method now that you need to get those guys, those players, because you've just seen it. You've seen it be successful, and I think that you're going to see a lot more of that, and I think it's going to affect the Niners, because you got to start looking at certain positions. If you're just not developing those positions, I don't think there's anybody on planet Earth that would say that the Niners can't develop D linemen. I don't think there's anyone that would say the Niners can't develop linebackers. Say what you want to say, the best corner they've had in a long, long time was developed in Seattle. No, seriously, I'm just saying it.
I mean, that's fact.
So it's like you got to start looking at certain positions saying, do we get someone? I'll flip that over to the offensive side of the ball. You look at the quarterback position. So now this team, with what you see at your young wide receiver position, and on the last part, we were talking about how Welker has gotten these guys to be pro receivers, and it looks like now the next person is going to take them to the next level. But you see the potential there. You see what you have at the tight end position. You still have some pieces on the offensive line that can perform well. At the quarterback position, that's tricky because, yes, Trey is the guy of the future. But if an Aaron Rodgers is out there, if a Tom Brady is out there, do you take that shot? Because not just the Rams did it, Tampa did it the year before. We saw Denver do it with Peyton Manning. Yeah. Whereas like you have this squad, you just need that piece to win a championship. And is it worth it? Because the championship is worth it.
A championship is definitely worth it, right? It's worth it to put all your chips in the middle of the table and of course, have it pay off for you as the Rams did. Now look,
let me jump one other thing, because people always say, well, you're mortgaging the future. Okay. So like, on the pod, before the pod, I told you, if the Rams suck next year, so guess what?
Yeah.
Nobody gets fired because guess what we did? We decided that we were going to go in and get a championship, and this is what it took, and we were correct. So now we will stumble a couple of seasons, and you won't fall to the bottom of the barrel because you still have a talented team. But we may not win the championship the following year, but we got a grace period because we just got that one. and we will bring in other pieces because you're still developing guys.
You can still feel good about that championship, right? And I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think about Masai Ujiri, and he's the president of basketball operations, GM, I want to say, the Toronto Raptors, when they won their championship, right? And Masai went all in, right? He traded the cornerstone of the franchise and DeMar DeRozan. I mean, the guy is beloved up there in Toronto. Traded him on a 1-year rental, which everybody pretty much knew that what it was going to be, for Kawhi Leonard. He gambled and he won. Les Snead, the Rams general manager, there's a saying, amongst Rams fans, amongst Rams players in that locker room, and it's basically F those draft picks, right? And that's pretty much become the motto, right? And guys have bought into that. The city, for the most part, have bought into that. The organization has bought into that. And so I look what that team just accomplished. And first, I was wrong, right?
You know what? I was wrong too.
Yeah,
I was wrong because I didn't think Matt Stafford could step up and handle the pressure and get it done.
So I didn't either.
I was wrong. And so now, and you know how I am about guys, I can never say that he can't do it because he's done it. Yeah. So I'll never again say that he can't do it. He's shown that he can do it. So, so that's the end of that for me. But I had never seen him do it, and it was hard for me to believe that he could. He did.
Yeah, and under the circumstances that he did it as well. And I look at November and how the Rams were 0 for November, and I thought, oh, okay, here he finally showed up, right? The Stafford we all thought fine, but they turned the page, and then he goes out there and wins the Super Bowl, with
drop picks matter.
Drop picks do matter, but when you look at what he did specifically in the Bengals game, Odell goes down, right? You lost. You're without your top, 2 tight ends. Just things just weren't working out right, and he was still able to make plays down the stretch and leak up a cup. So I was wrong on that account. I was also wrong on the Brady account. If we go back 2 years ago, right? There was all these thoughts that Brady wanted to join the Niners. And I was like, no, thank you, right? He looked a shell of himself that last year in New England. I would have never thought that he would have gone out there and had the success that he had year 1 with Tampa, or even run it back year 2 in Tampa. Yeah, they didn't get to a
Yeah.
Super Bowl, but for him to put up the numbers that
It
he
wasn't
did,
Brady's fault. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
I mean that was incredible. So now here we are, right?
Brady should have actually been the MVP last year, but anyway.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so now here we are, right? And you mentioned Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Brady's, he's put some tea leaves out there. I don't. We'll see. Like not.
Did you hear the latest? They were saying that Brady wouldn't want to come to the Niners because he had a little tiff with Shanahan when he was originally a free agent. Did you hear about that?
What
So I don't know.
what I kind of think of like
I don't know if there how much
you chose that guy over me. Like
I don't know if there's too much truth to it, but yeah, we know it seems like it's pointing more and more that it's that they're talking about that comment is about Garoppolo, but the rumors out there is that he that Kyle wanted him to do some things differently and was talking about some game management type things and how he should handle certain scenarios and was asking about him. And Brady kind of got on him about the way he had handled things in the Super Bowl, some situational things, and it turned into a little thing to where he just felt like there was some insecurities there, and it would be tough, dealing, for Kyle to deal with him. So I don't know if that's true or not. And everyone's saying that he has a grudge and he wouldn't come here because he doesn't want to play for Kyle. I'll tell everybody out there that's talking about this grudge and all of that nonsense. You write a big enough check, guess what? The grudge will end. So if Brady is wanting to play here, I mean, you got to kick the tires on it because number one, look at the level he's playing at. And if he did, okay, let's just say he drops off a little because he's a year older. That's still going to be pretty good football.
yeah, and you also allow you add in the allure of coming home, right? I think there's
Yeah.
something. I think there's something to that as well, right?
The
And,
other
and
guy,
if and if in
other
fact
guy,
he really did want to come here 2 years ago, and that didn't happen, maybe an opportunity for it to happen here.
I love it, Summer. I
Summer
love
child,
it.
what are we doing right now? Are we
Well, you
good?
know what, man? I've already put a receipt out there that I said I think the only place, when Brady's talking about not playing, I think the only team that could actually entice him to come back and play football is the Niners. I truly do. I think that's the only team that could truly entice him to come back. And if there is a rift of any kind, like I said, a large enough check takes care of all of that. I really do, because you show your commitment, you'll show me your respect, all those type things, but with enough zeros, and he'll be fine playing. And you are immediate with this squad, the rest of this squad, and the pieces that you will add this offseason. You are an immediate contender, because right now that's a part of it. So I do think you have to look at that, look at building. Now the flip side of that coin, you look at Kansas City. And if you are right, if you are correct in selecting that young player as opposed to going out and getting that piece, if you're correct and you develop that guy at the quarterback position, if Trey is that guy, now the Niners are set, because not only are you have you already developed all these other pieces, you are in win now mode. This is not a team that you're trying to say 3 years from now you're supposed to win. This team should be competing for championships right now. Next year, the Niners are going to make a deep playoff run. They should make a deep playoff run and be playing for championships. That's what should happen. If Trey is that quarterback on a rookie contract, now just what we're talking about, go get those pieces. Go get a corner. Go get a safety. Go get in the Devontae Adams sweepstake. Go get them, because you can give up something. Go get those guys and bring them in and win right now if that's your quarterback. If that quarterback is not the guy, go get one of those other quarterbacks. That's because you're trying to win 6.
All right, I'm glad you mentioned Trey. I got something on Trey in just a sec, but before that, let's get to better help.
BetterHelp. First of all, let me get to the read. Let me find that. That's an interesting one. Well,
That, I mean, that's the most important part, right? I
that's
mean,
that's I mean, no, that's not the most important part. The most important part is taking care of your mental health.
oh, there you go.
That's the most important part. And this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. And we want you guys to go to betterhelp.com/49ers. And again, I'm gonna tell you guys, look at your health this way. You got to look at your mental health this way. I see you eating those chips, fries, whatever you're doing right
French
now.
fries, air fryer,
You're eating the French fries.
life changing.
And you're getting some dirty dishes, and you're going to clean up those dishes, right? You're going to clean up your kitchen so you don't have a mess, so you don't, because you don't want rats and roaches running through your house because you leave the food all around, right? You don't want that. So you're going to clean up around the house and do those type chores. I see you in your hoodie. You probably wear that to the gym. You got your gym membership. You're going to go and pump your weights and get buffed, and you're going to go see the doctor, your annual checkup to take care of your health, right? Your physical health. I guarantee you get, that light that check engine light comes on. You're going to go to the mechanic. You're going to check on your car. You're going to get that fixed. You don't want problems right there, right? So going to therapy is just like that. It's routine maintenance for your mental health and your emotional wellness. And because you don't want that to cause bigger issues down the road, right? So since you're going to look at it since we can look at it that way, BetterHelp is customized online therapy, and it offers videos. You can have phone calls. You can even do live chat sessions with a therapist. And if you don't want to see them, you don't have to. You can have the cameras off. That's up to you, however you want to do it. It's much more affordable than going in-person therapy. So you can also start communicating with a therapist within 48 hours. So why invest in everything else? Why, I know you got a cleaner that's coming in to, do the dishes and things like that. Like I say, you'll get your car taken care of. You'll invest in everything else. Why not invest in your mind? Okay. So this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Believe in 49ers listeners, you guys get 10% off the first month at betterhelp.com/49ers. And that is better, BetterHelp.com/49ers.
The emergence of virtual meetings, virtual help, virtual meetings with therapists, especially over these last couple of years that we've been in the pandemic, or almost 2 years now that we've been in the pandemic, has been huge for a lot of people, right? Remember, for a long time we couldn't even leave our houses, and so I think that's been huge. And look, mental health is health, right? I saw Aaron Taylor tweet that the other day. I heard a lot of people say that, and look, I agree with that. I'm a proponent of mental health. So get your mentals right, folks. This is the Believe in 49ers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. He is Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. I'm Rahshaun Haylock. Talking about Trey Lance, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it, Ed.
What?
I'm not gonna do it. I refuse, right? Like, there are these clips going around and of some throws, this leaked practice video, and oh my gosh,
I saw that.
Trey is the man.
Well, you know what? No one ever shows your lowlights.
That part.
So so that's part of it. Yeah, I mean, great. Yes, he's capable of making a throw. You know who else is capable of making throws? Every NFL quarterback. They're all capable of making throws. They're all pretty good. He wouldn't be there if he couldn't do certain things. So all of that is great. It's a question of managing the game and knowing when to make those throws, when not to make those throws, when to run the offense.
How about in pads?
All of these type things. I mean, it's and this is the other thing. You've heard me say this before, and I'll say it again. It's very different. It's extremely different when you are the guy as opposed to the backup. It's different. The pressures.
Backup, most popular guy in town.
The backup quarterback, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you are the backup at any position, if you go out and things work well, great. They love you. If things aren't working, so what? You're the backup. It's a different pressure. Now he's accustomed to being the guy. So I know he can handle that pressure. He's been the guy, but just how you perform and the things you do and the mistakes you make and the way they are all weighted and evaluated. It's just completely different when you're the starter on a team at any position. And you understand that because everyone is brought in to become the starter. And you know what happens the moment you become the starter? They start looking for your replacement. The moment, the first snap you take listed as the starter, they are looking for your replacement. That's just the business. So
That's a real thing.
Perform, you have to produce, and you know that because they don't draft you number 3 in the draft to sit on the bench. We know that. So I saw that leaked footage. Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, okay, he rolling to his left and throwing across his body and all of that. I saw him.
Sidearm action, you know what I mean? Off one foot, off one leg, yeah.
Yeah, I saw him throw one down the field, deep ball down the field. I also saw that was Josh Norman covering. So I mean, all this stuff matters.
I didn't quite see who was covering, but that's a very good observation on your part.
So I mean, there are just things that happen right now, and but now with all that being said, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he can do, and you know me with the offseason and the draft and all of these type things. Whoever they pick, I get people asking me all of this stuff. Who do you like at this position, and what about this? Like, man, I'm gonna tell all of you guys right now, I'm not breaking down all this film. I don't know who's coming out.
You're not getting your Daniel Jeremiah on?
I'm not doing that.
Del Piper?
I'm not doing all of that. First of all, I'm gonna let all of them do all of that breaking down and all of this stuff and talk about who they talk about and who's the best and all of this stuff. Because you know what? At the end of the day, it's who your team selects for their system and how they fit. Because I didn't hear a single guy say that Elijah Mitchell was that dude. Everybody broke all these people down, and nobody said Elijah Mitchell was that dude.
You didn't hear that one?
No, I ain't hear that one. He seems like he could be that dude.
Uh-oh.
Is this you all right? See them fries. What you got on those fries? You keep talking about eating fries. I wonder what's in that cup.
I wish I had a cup. We gonna pause for the call. Okay, here we go.
No. People are gonna see what's happening.
All right, here we go.
I'm cutting it out.
No. I just needed to adjust my light.
No, I got you.
Hurricane Summer over here, just running into stuff. Are you okay, child?
I like when Summer takes over.
Now that you've made your takeover on this podcast. Okay, you just want the people to hear you, huh? Yeah, all right.
I love it. I love it.
She's a big fan.
So we can tell. So all of you guys, you hear it right here. I will not be breaking down free agents. I will not be breaking down offensive linemen and potential DBs and safeties and all of this stuff. I'm gonna let all of these guys do all they want to do. And when the Niners draft their guys, and I'll see some stuff. If there are times where people will ask me to look at a particular player, I will look at that player, and that's about it. I will have discussions with people who know that player, mindset type things and things like that. I'll do that. But I'm not an NFL scout. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not even going to try to pretend to be one.
So right now, if the Niners are going to push all their chips to the table, if they're going to follow this trend of sorts that we've seen work.
Yeah.
It's won the last 2 Super Bowls, for being honest. What does that look like? Is that at the quarterback position?
That's the position you need. That's the position you need. So the question, so this is the thing. Is Trey Lance that guy? I haven't spent time around him. I don't know where he is in his progression.
What if I have bigger questions about Aaron Rodgers than I do Trey Lance?
If you have bigger, so what
are more questions about Aaron Rodgers than I do Trey Lance.
What more questions would you have about Aaron Rodgers and Trey Lance?
He gave us 4 playoff wins.
But that had more to do with the defense. Dude, okay,
Talk about his defense.
The Niners defense,
okay.
and the way you play against the other guys, what guys can do against our defense, and just the way that your team is built. Green Bay Packers team is not built as tough as the 49ers. That's why they lose to them all the time. The 49ers are just tougher. So the way that they play, the way that their team is designed, the mindset of their team and all this stuff, not saying that the individual players aren't tough. It's just the way that you play the game.
The mindset.
It's not conducive to tough football. That's why I told you they were going to beat them. That's the same thing I told you about Dallas. It's just the way they play is just not conducive to it. So this is the question. So you say you have more questions about him. Is there a question of ability? Do you think Trey Lance is better than Aaron Rodgers?
No.
So that answers it for me. So
well, no, for me it goes deeper than that. It's and I guess you kind of just touched on it with the Niners defense, but I mean this isn't even just about the Niners defense. This is, and look, I mean, don't get me wrong, like it's, and I say this knowing full well if it's on the table, you probably got to take it, right? Otherwise, you'd be making the same mistake. I'd be sitting here making the same mistake that I made last year when I said absolutely don't go after Matt Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I don't know. I feel like he's had some really, and it's hard to get to a Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. I feel like he's had some really good teams, some really good opportunities.
Yeah.
And has not been able to get it done in the postseason.
Agreed.
And that's not to say that Trey can. I don't know that Trey can't because I haven't seen it.
Oh no, and that's okay. Keep going.
But with Rodgers, there has been. I mean, when he won that one, what was that? 2010, I want to say. Like we all like there was this notion out there that this was going to be the beginning of just a string of things, right? And then but then the blame started going to all these other places, but no one's really looked at 12. And my thought is, does 12 have something to do with this? And I believe that he does.
Oh, of course he does. If he's not, because he's got to take that blame. Just like Matt Stafford has to take some of the blame for the things that were happening up in Detroit. He has to take some of that blame. But also, 12 is someone that can win you a few games with his right arm and his legs.
Yeah.
There are things that 12 can do that the last quarterback here just simply couldn't do. There are things that 12 can do that very few people in the NFL ever.
That is 100% correct.
And if you have that under center, if you look at the defenses that the Niners normally have and just the way their teams are built, I think that changes things. If you look at that arm talent and what he's capable of doing, the way he can create plays and make plays, and at any point on the field, we saw it when they beat the Niners this past season. You give this guy a minute and he can score on you. It's just that's the thing about Aaron Rodgers. So I think it would be ridiculous to not look at it if he wants to. But all of that being said, if 5 is the guy that you say is ready, I'm fine with that. Just like I said, I don't know that he can't do it. I haven't seen him do it. I've seen him play 2 games. He's played 2 games in 2 years. I don't know where he is developmental wise. I do know that he comes from a system that should allow him, because he was setting his fronts and changing plays and doing all the type things that you have to do as an NFL quarterback. Now he has to learn to do that in a different language, but these are all things that he's accustomed to doing and playing the game at a high level. So, with that, I think just like what you mentioned, Matt Stafford, just like Matt Stafford had to take some of that blame, but you surround Matt Stafford with the rest of the squad. Look what Matt Stafford was capable of doing. I think the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. You surround him with the rest of the Niners squad, that tough locker room. I think you got something special. And one more thing, he's already. I can't say that he can't win a Super Bowl. He's already done it.
He's won.
I know he can do it.
He's done it. No, but I think there's an argument to be made that the Niners have gone all in on 5. I mean, you look at how many draft picks they gave up. Rams gave up the same amount of draft picks for Stafford. And for me, I think if I had a choice, I may be more inclined to like give me a difference maker at corner.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if I had a choice, I'm with you. I hope that 5 is the guy. I want Trey to be the guy, and everything is right. And I hope he doesn't need another year. I truly hope that this is a Pat Mahomes situation to where that year, sitting down, doing what he just did, now he's ready to go play, because you're right. You can go in on a pass rusher, on a corner, on a safety. You can go in on a wide receiver. You can go get a playmaker. Because if you're gonna get somebody from Green Bay, like I said, keep Trey on that rookie contract. He's the guy. Get him Devontae Adams. Because I love what Debo's doing, and there's a lot of people who got upset because Debo didn't get any offensive player of the year votes and all of this stuff and everything. People, I really like Debo. Debo is not as good a receiver as Devontae Adams. Debo is not as good a receiver as Cooper Kupp.
Well, Debo will tell you that. Debo said Devontae Adams is the standard as far as NFL receivers go right now.
Yeah, so that's just the thing when you're looking at that, and just you still don't have that receiver. So we'll see if that's going to be BA and his development, because he's the guy who was supposed to be that guy, but Devontae's special. He's different. He's different. So I'm with you like that. And then you look at these, why not? Why not go out there and get you a corner? I mean, if you can get a difference maker like Jalen, even though Jalen almost tricked off the playoffs for them. Jalen Ramsey almost tricked off the playoffs. He did not have a good playoff. You got to keep him in the best corner argument, but he didn't have a good playoff.
Yeah, this is a pod after the pod conversation. I got some heat for you.
Well, because I was just watching. Warren Sapp called me 6 in the morning. After the Super Bowl, and he was just like, "What the hell?" Sapp was like, "What?" He was like, "What the hell was Jalen doing? Like, he's too good for that." I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Man, he is too good to trick it off like that." That last play. The last play that Aaron Donald made.
Oh, where he missed Chase?
Where
Burrow didn't see Chase down the field?
Jalen Ramsey was on the ground.
Yes. Yes.
Chase was giving him fits. He was on the ground. That was game over. So. And go back to Tampa. There's just a lot of things that he just kind of relaxed a little bit in certain situations. So all of that, I'm sure Jalen to get all of that worked out, because Jalen's just too talented. But
no, I mean
I started that off by saying, if you can go out and get a guy, a difference maker like that in the secondary,
and he's a difference maker. I will give you that. But I will.
After the pod, you got to give me that heat. I got to hear this. But
I will. He's a difference maker, but I will also say, like you mentioned earlier, like another edge opposite Bosa. Like,
oh yeah, if you,
the Rams were hunting, right? It was like, okay, like which one of these guys do you feel like you can stop?
Well, you know what? So now, since we're talking Super Bowl and the Rams, let's see. That was the coordinator, your offensive coordinator. You had done some good things all year, all game long, and you decide in the most crucial series, like number one, when you get that turnover. Yes, I've never talked about this. When you got that turnover, you didn't have a play. When you got the tip interception, all that stuff, you didn't have a play to do something. You didn't have a play at that time. You got to have something dialed up to where it's like, okay, we got them on the ropes. Let's sing them a lullaby. You got to have something. And then you didn't have anything dialed up right there. Special. Then the next thing, last drive, most crucial drive, this is for it all. Now you're going to decide to single up. Everyone thinks about Aaron Donald and the play, because the last play, forced down, you decide to single up Aaron Donald. Who does that? Why not? That's the biggest threat out there. The previous two plays, Von Miller. You decide to single up Von Miller.
Well, that's my point. Pick your
poison. And when Von is dipping, when that shoulder dips,
curtains. It's lights out.
It's lights
Game
out.
over.
He's turning the corner. And they did that 2 times in a row. You decide to single it. Like, no, you don't do that. You do like Sapp said, Mike Martz. And when they played the Rams, and that, what was it, 12-9 game or 12-6 game, whatever, he got triple teamed. Not double, triple teamed. Every snap on defense, the entire game. Because Mike Martz said it, I was not going to let you beat me. If the other guys beat us, that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't let Aaron Donald beat you. But anyway, back to that. That's enough about the Rams.
There's nothing more important than peace of mind. And that's what NordVPN is here for, to give you that peace of mind while you are online. And with all the threats that you face on a day-to-day basis on the internet, it's more important than ever to be sure that you have the best VPN you can get. NordVPN is the world's best VPN service, offering the fastest connectivity, most servers, and next-gen encryption to make sure that everything you do online stays secure. So grab your exclusive, that means it's solely for you, NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/believe or use the code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to get up to 70% off your NordVPN plan plus 1 additional month for free. It's also risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. He is Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. I'm Rahshaun Haylock. Look, we got a lot of off-season chatter we can get into. But before we get out of here, ED, we talked about Bryant Young getting the call to the Hall. Mm-hmm. You also played with Sam Mills.
Yeah.
And we got a tweet here from Kruger. If I can bring it up, wanted to know your point of view on about them as Hall of Fame players, about Sam Mills as a Hall of Fame player and a teammate, and any other teammates you think that should be voted in.
Oh, I mean, I played with so many great guys. Well, first of all, BY, I already talked about BY.
You talked about BY on the last pod.
And Sam Mills is Sam Mills. I played with 2 really, really good linebackers, Sam Mills and Ken Norton Jr. Completely different styles. Both of them, I think, are Hall of Fame players, and Sam's already in. And Sam, I told you how happy I was for BY to do that. Sam, we just had a different type relationship when Sam was going through chemo and everything. And this is a guy that found out what was happening, and he literally, when he was, this is what he told me. He was he got a little sick, and he just thought he had the flu or something. And because Sam, even when he stopped playing, he wasn't a big guy. I mean, you're talking about like a 5'10", 5'11" guy. He was like 215, just thick, 215, 220, just a thick guy. Looked like a running back. And would just knock you out. Just knock you out. He was just technically sound. He would do everything. He was like coach's tape, like training film. Because he told me, he was like, I have to do everything. He was like, I wish I could cross my legs and just run through things like say out. He's like, I wish I could do this, but he knew that he couldn't take a false step because he wasn't big enough to recover from it. So he had to take these guys and be perfect. And he was just like so technically sound. So he worked out and would run with the guys even when he was coaching, linebacker coaching and everything. Still did the same routine. And so he thought he had a little cold and then thought it was the flu because his stomach was bothering him. And after a couple of weeks of that and it just wouldn't go away, he went to the doctor, the team doctor, just give me a checkup, and they couldn't figure out. They were like, well, he doesn't seem to flu or anything. So they sent him to go in. So he sees a doctor, and literally from working out with his backers, thinking that he just had like a little stomach deal, they told him that he was like in the stage 4 cancer and had a few months to live. So that's when it all started. And so he started all the treatment and everything. And I think he made it, they told me out a few months, and he made it like a year and a half and doing all the treatments. And I saw him get cancer. Anyone who's ever experienced it, and you family members or whatever, it's brutal. And I saw him just deteriorate. And I would sit and talk with him about things. And when he was going through his chemo, I'd sit with him, and he'd be on his medication, and he and I would have conversations just like we're having right now. I'm sorry, people, you got me thinking about Sammy now, but Sammy would he would be on his medication and go in, and this is how sharp his mind stayed, even though the cancer was eating him up, and he was skin and bones by this time, and he would just like nod off, and he would pop back up. Sometimes he might be gone for 30 seconds. Sometimes it might be 30 minutes. And then he'd come back, and he would have he would pick right back up on the same sentence in the conversation and just keep going. Like his mind, even through that, never stopped working, but his body just failed him. He's truly one of the best people outside of football. He's one of the best people I've ever known. So when you talk about teammates, was going to give his all to everybody at all times, a lot like BY in that aspect of it. One of the least judgmental people I've ever known in my life, ever known. He always tried to find a way, even the scrub, even the guy that didn't care. And we had some bad teammates at that time that didn't even care. Sam tried to find a way to find the best in them, as opposed to just saying, you're coach killer, you're a bum, you don't need to be here. He tried to find a way to make them better. So he did that. That's how Sam was. And he played the game in that body at one of the most physical positions. He controlled it. He controlled the defense. He would control 300-pound men and just break them down, and never had a bad word to say. Wasn't a yeller, a screamer, no profanity, just lined up and played the game as hard as you possibly could play it. And he excelled at it at the highest level. And that's a Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Well said. Someone I enjoy watching play the game, and just hearing all the stories, every time, his games came on, just from the announcers, and just how he got everything out of himself, undersized guy, but just went after it, and played at a really, really high level and executed at a very, very high level. And so very deserving of being a Hall of Famer. I wish it would have came sooner,
Yeah. Me too. I wish he had been around to see it. And yeah, I really do. And yeah, I'm happy for his family. And because I know how he was and what he meant to them and to the community and everything. So I'm glad that his trophy out, and his statue out in front of because now they retired numbers. That before they would just build a statue, and on his statue for the Panthers, they'll have to put HOF on it. And because he was that kind of guy, and that's good. Second part of Crew's question, when he was asking about guys that should be there, Tim McDonald should be in the Hall of Fame already. That's one. I'll be glad when he get his turn, because it's got to be coming. But Tim McDonald, John Lynch, a Hall of Famer, no question. Leroy Butler, Hall of Famer. You'd be hard pressed to prove to me that they were better than Tim. You would be. I would love to sit down and have that discussion, and we go player for player, season for season, year for year, contribution for contribution. Tim McDonald was the best safety I ever played with. Smartest football player, defensive football player I ever played with. The smartest defensive player I ever played with. Yes, I played with Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott wasn't Ronnie Lott. You know, he wasn't the same guy. I wasn't there during Ronnie's prime. So whenever I say that, we all know Ronnie Lott's that's the discussion of all-time greatest. He's in that all-time greatest defensive back, not just safety, whatever conversation. So I'm not trying to say anything like that. We know
he played both at a very high level. Yeah,
the totality of his career. Ronnie Lott, when you all-time great, you gotta, the guys that you gotta talk about and throw in that conversation. There are very, very few guys, because you can say best corner, best this, like Dion, best corner ever, but you wouldn't put Dion in the best defensive back conversation. There are very few guys that, like I said, that played left corner, right corner, safety, slot, got all this stuff. There are like 3 or 4 guys in that conversation if you really know football. Everybody doesn't belong in that. But when I thought like safety, Tim McDonald was the best safety that I played, because I played with him during his prime. And his understanding of football, I told you we had games where Tim was the defensive coordinator, where he literally would call every play. Like he literally would, like every defensive call that we ran, it didn't come from the sideline, didn't come from the coaches. I told you we played one game, I was signaling to the sideline what we were running so they could track it.
They could chart it. Yeah.
Yes. Where it was like things would change, and like Ronnie was that same way when I was a rookie. And part of it is like my understanding of football wasn't the same at that time, where Ronnie would just be like, go cover him, you do this, and all these type things. And he would change things and disguise things and all this stuff. But Tim would break things down to blocking schemes, all this stuff. This dude understood football. Like I said, we were sitting there. That's how me and this guy. That's how we figured out how to get that pick 6 against Dallas. Just the game and just all the nuances of it. Tim should be in the Hall of Fame, and that's another one that I look forward to. So yeah, I played with a lot of really, really good football players, and that's probably why we were pretty good. But I can go across. That's just on defense. On the offense, I mean, Jesse Sapolo should be there. Guy McIntyre. Guy McIntyre should be there. I think Steve Wallace should be there. At least I know Steve Wallace should at least be getting a look. But there's no question in my mind that Jesse and Guy McIntyre. I don't know why.
I'd vote for Roger Craig.
Yeah, there we go. Roger Craig. See, I forgot. That's what I'm saying. I played with so many. I forgot about Roger Craig. Yeah. But I told you, I think they're gonna hold that. As long as there are guys voting, which is ridiculous. As long as there are guys voting, God, you
mean like media guys?
Yeah, that hold that remember that fumble. They're gonna hold that against them. And I'll even say this like this. This is funny. Warren Sapp called me again about BY early in the morning. And he was like, he said, I had to look him up. He was like, why did I not know about him? Why did he not get that type of attention? And I was like, I don't know. Because he was like, I looked at this and he said, we played the same time against the same people. He was like, even the year, he said the year I won defensive player of the year, he said, I had 12 sacks. He had 11 and a half. He said, he didn't even make a Pro Bowl. And I was like, that was part of it. That was part of it. They didn't do that. They didn't pump us like that. They didn't do those type things. So, he was like, I looked at it, he was like, his numbers are my numbers. And he was like, so he asked me, what do you think about BY? And I just told him, I said, kid can play. He was like, oh, that's it. That's enough. He said, that's enough. Because he said, I know you tell me the truth about it. So Sap calls me from time to time, just ask me about guys and coaches and stuff like that. And but anyway, that's there. Yeah. So there are so many guys on those teams through the, and the 90s, and a lot of the guys that I played with have been forgotten. Because you talk about the 80s and then we talk about the Harbaugh years, and everyone forgets that those were some pretty good teams and pretty good players in between.
Yeah.
So hopefully, the guys will start, they'll start paying attention to Timmy, and then you'll start getting Merton in the room, and you'll start getting, like I said, the guy, Jesse Sapolos and Guy McIntyres and all of these guys, you some pretty good players. You go to 5 Pro Bowls, you're probably pretty good. You're probably pretty good. Now, just because you didn't go to 5 doesn't mean you weren't good, because there's a lot that goes into that. But you were probably pretty good. And that's what I'm saying. And Guy McIntyre kind of changed the way they played the game. There weren't guards pulling around on sweeps and stuff, but before him. He was one of those first athletic guys that started doing that. Guy was in the backfield blocking and doing things before the fridge.
Yeah.
He kind of changed the way they started looking at some of these offensive linemen and the things that they could do, because he was so athletic. But that's just me. You did ask though.
And that story time with ED. That's why you tune into the Believe in 49ers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, wherever you find your podcasts, or even right here on YouTube as well. Make sure you continue to download, subscribe, rate, and review. We're located wherever you find your podcast. Hit us up on social media. I'm at Haylock. He is at _Eric Davis _. That's on Twitter. And on Instagram, I'm at Watch Ray Ray. And he is at Eric Davis _____. So appreciate your questions. Appreciate you as always for tuning in. This has been the Believe in 49ers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. For my partner, Super Bowl champion Eric Davis, I'm Rahshaun Haylock. This has been the Believe in 49ers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. We will see y'all next week.
Peace.